You want to build a career coaching business, but have a full-time job that you cannot afford to lose. What do you do? How do you transition? How do you post on LinkedIn, create a personal brand while not jeopardizing your job? Well, if that's you, then this is the video for you. And in this video, I have my business partner, my friend, and someone who's personally gone through that transition, Mr. Adam Broda himself, to talk about this. So welcome to the video.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So today we're going to break this down and we're going to try to make it as actionable as possible, but also talk about the different scenarios because we understand that everybody's situation be very different. I also want to put a disclaimer for us that, hey, like every company is different. So obviously make sure that you take this advice at your own risk, but we're just going to share what's worked for us, what's worked for Adam, and what's worked for the clients that we've helped make this transition throughout the time. So Adam, I actually want to kick this off to you because you've personally gone through this transition. So maybe I'll let you kind of tell a little bit of your story, your background, your transition, and we dive into it.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to start the conversation. There are a lot of disclaimers. Everybody's going to be in a specific environment, different situation. So I'll just start with mine, and then we'll delve into some of those layers. 2019, I transitioned from the aerospace industry into the big tech industry. I had been coaching on the side while I worked a full-time job, and I wanted to start a formal side business. So I went out, got an LLC, purchased a website, because back then I thought that's what I needed to do to have a side business, and started taking a small number of one-on-one clients as I transitioned into my new role at Amazon. And originally I had talked about that side business with my boss coming into that company. I said, hey, this is something I'm interested in doing. It's not going to affect my work. I wasn't posting about it or talking about it online. It was just a pure side business run through a website. So at that point, there wasn't a lot to talk about. My boss was cool with it. Off I went. 2020, when I decided to start building an actual professional brand and personal brand, I started the process of getting into consistent LinkedIn posts. So a few times a week talking about career coaching. And it was at that point where I said, hey, Amazon is on my LinkedIn profile, right? Probably need to run this by folks at Amazon to make sure this is okay and there's no conflict of interest. Again, I went and spoke to my boss. She was like, hey, there's actually a division of our business, of our company that handles these types of things, right? It's called employment legal, where they have a COI process, a conflict of interest process that you can go through. You can also speak to somebody that's a lawyer that represents the company and just ask questions. That is exactly what I did. Went out, talked to that lawyer, scheduled a quick meeting, just asked about what limitations I had in the coaching space, how I could talk about my business online without somehow taking advantage of Amazon's name, image, or likeness. Got a bunch of those questions answered. And for the next couple of years, I actually posted on LinkedIn without Amazon being mentioned on my profile at all. So I had a product manager experience with no company associated with it. And I continue to post every day. And
was Amazon not listed in your experience, or it was listed, you just didn't mention it anywhere else within your headline or banner or in your content?
It really wasn't mentioned on the profile at all. So I was a senior manager of product at the time. I had an experience in my experience section created for that, but nothing tagged to Amazon. Yeah. So it was completely gone from the profile. The goal there was to just not give Amazon the impression that I was building this business or building my profile based off of their brand, which had happened to some other creators that I knew, and that didn't end up so well. So I was pretty risk adverse in the way I handled it.
So, but at what point did you decide to put Amazon at your experience? Like, was there a transition where you were like, okay, never put Amazon there, and then you quit Amazon, or you slowly started building? Like, walk us through that transition from not mentioning it at all to now I'm a full-time business owner and it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. So the closer and closer I got to the exit date, right? I was at Amazon for 5 years. I ended up leaving in December of 2024. And like I said, the closer I got to that date, knowing that I wanted to go full-time as a coach, the more risk I was willing to take on my LinkedIn profile. And ultimately I added Amazon back into my LinkedIn personal profile and my business profile probably late 2023, as I was preparing to really go full-time into career coaching and spend the year building teams and processes and really kind of creating a full-on hybrid program. So for me, it was just an appetite of risk evaluation. How much risk am I willing to take? Do I have stuff, in place? If some crazy reason Amazon, sent me a cease and desist or my job was put in jeopardy, do I have a plan? But yeah, for me, I built my professional brand as a career coach for about 3 years without touching the company's name, image, or likeness, and then added it back towards the end of 2023. Honestly, it didn't do much to my profile. I already had around 350,000 followers at that point. It wasn't a case where Amazon could show up and say, hey, you built this following because you work at our company, right? Or, hey, you're sharing insights about our company. I wasn't doing either of those things. So at that point, it was like, hey, I feel pretty well established. I've got a business that's set up and running. I've got a brand that's set up and running. I think I'm good to go.
So now that you kind of explained a little bit of your transition and how you did it, you now also have the experience. We've worked a lot together with clients in the Career Coaches Accelerator, where we've seen this transition. Knowing from your personal experience and also seeing it from as we've helped other people make the transition, what advice would you have to somebody watching this that says, hey, Adam, that's good for you to say you made it through, but now in 2026, would you do something differently, or where would you get started?
It's a super loaded question, right? If you work at a company like Deloitte, the answer to this question is going to be a little different, right? Because of the way that your company approaches side businesses and consulting gigs and freelance. So I'll just say, with that in place, I would say think about your full-time job as a safety net, right? Your full-time job allows you to take a little bit more risk in the way you spend and invest in the business. When I was employed at Amazon and I had that steady income, I could spend that on employees. I could spend that on business processes. I could spend that on investments. And even if my side business wasn't profiting every month, really didn't matter because my bills are being paid by my full-time job. So I could invest in scale. I could invest in everything I would need when I eventually went full-time and let the full-time income kind of cover the risk. I would encourage everyone to think about it like that. As long as you can live in that sweet spot, you're good. But the other answer to your question is, have open, honest conversations with your leadership team. I really don't think there's a scenario where like the person or the couple people that you work for should be in the dark. The situation you want to avoid is having your boss like get totally caught off guard by something, and then you have this really awkward conversation that goes downhill. So,
or not even have the conversation. I actually want to share this happened literally last week with a client of ours, and I'll share the story without giving too much context away, but this individual has a cushy job, makes over $200,000 a year. He's in tech, but he's gotten to the point he's really good at his job where he can go and work 4 hours a week, fully remote job, 4 hours a day, not a week, 4 hours a day, fully remote job, and make $200,000 a year, right? And then he felt like bored, he wanted to be challenged, and he wanted to build this career coaching business. So he started working with us, and he was trying to kick the decision. He wasn't thinking about what we're doing in this video. Yeah. And he goes through a program and goes full on from one day to another to banner change, full transformation change. I help, full sales mode, right?
Full 10.
The whole transition of changing your LinkedIn from a resume to a landing page, right? Which we have videos on that on this channel, right? And without talking to the boss, without talking to the company. And then he comes back 3 weeks later and says, Daniel, I don't think my company really likes the changes that I'm making. I am now being micromanaged. I have been given way more work now because they know that I have all this time to build this business. So why don't we just give this guy more work? And he ultimately left the program. So we actually refunded him the fee because we're like, okay, dude, well, if you don't want to build a career coaching business, this is not, he's like, Daniel, I just can't afford to lose my $200,000 job. And I'm not making that much money in career coaching. It's not going to happen right away. This is not a silver bullet. And so I think if you're watching this, my caution to you is you need to think about this before you even make all those changes to your LinkedIn profile. So with all that context being in place, how should you start thinking about if we were to break this into step-by-steps? I'm watching this, Adam, I want to build this business. Let's go back, if we can rewind time to our old client that didn't even bring that up in the conversation. Because if they would have told us, we would have been like, wait, before you make this, let's think about this. What advice would you have given our client a month ago if we would have known that he didn't even talk to this company?
Yeah, break the transition into phases. So at the beginning phase, what you're trying to establish is credibility more than anything else, right? You're building trust. You're building a personal brand, right? There's nothing, well, I can't say nothing, but usually there's not a lot stopping you from getting on thing like LinkedIn and just talking about your experience, right? Talking about how you solve a specific problem or alleviate a pain point within a process. That's fine to do. Once you introduce a product or a sale of something, now the risk factor goes back up. So the initial phase is just build the personal brand, establish the content strategy, figure out the angles you're going to post about, get some followers, start talking with people. You can begin the process of building a lead generation SOP in secret, right? You might be able to sell in secret, not on LinkedIn.
Like add value in public and then sell in private, right?
Yeah, that's probably phase one. Phase two is where there's some kind of a hybrid where you do start talking about the business or the LLC or the service in public more. Again, like I did, where I didn't mention Amazon at all, right? That was my compromise. That was phase two. Again, here we're getting testimonials out the wazoo, right? We want a bunch of evidence that you can deliver the product or the service without the company having to back you. And then phase three is really where we start to full send, right? We're going to make the transition with our LinkedIn page away from I'm a career corporate person to I'm now a business owner, I'm a coach. The content strategy definitely changes because now we can talk more actively about what we're doing. And then of course, the way you sell, the way you do lead gen, that also updates. The one thing I'll say though, for me is that I didn't have to do a lot of selling in my content. And I still don't. I don't do a lot of posts about buy my product or buy my service. Most of my selling happens in secret, in the DMs. And I believe, because we've seen so many people come through your system and have success doing this, you
do know it's our system.
I do. It's our system, however you want me to say it. We've had so many people come through our coaching system that have done this correctly. You can absolutely crush it as a coach without really selling anywhere in public.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if you have that hesitation, send us a message, let's talk, right? But I mean, I did that for years. There's countless people behind me that have done that. There's people in the program right now that are doing that. You can build a brand and monetize it without selling publicly. It's absolutely possible.
Yeah, to me, it's about mitigating the risk, because I understand that for the majority of people, you cannot afford losing your job from one day to another. Like that is a plan. There needs to be an exit strategy built, and that there's so much you can do before you essentially get out of the entrepreneurship closet to say, "Hey, everyone, I'm here to sell you something."
You're always in some kind of a closet.
And so, to me, like going back on what you're saying, I think that before even alarming the bells and changing and going full on landing page on your LinkedIn profile, I think you should watch the video that we have recorded on the 5 prerequisites before building a career coaching business. And and a lot of those prerequisites can be done before making that announcement on LinkedIn. So what does that mean? Like, you need to build a personal brand. Like, you need to help people land those jobs. So to me, the way I see this is, first, build your personal brand, become an authority or a thought leader within the industry that you want to build clients for. Add tons of value, no call to action, zero selling. Don't call yourself a coach, call yourself a mentor, because people have the perception the coach you pay for, mentors are free. So you call yourself more of a mentor than a coach. No, very, very few companies will see that as a red flag at its point. Like it's been normalized to build a personal brand because of social media. So that's, like,
you could build mentorship programs all day long, and most bosses and employers are going to be like,
great, like
you go, Coco.
And so that'd be like the phase one. And what I would do is use all the goodwill that you're building with the audience, build your audience, right? And then anybody that likes, comments, and views your profile, I would then start DM conversations, again, not to sell right away, because right now what you want to do is you want to get your first 3 to 5 testimonials. So even in the beginning, work for free, like get those testimonials, or work for free now and they'll pay you something once you get the job. Get those testimonials on those wins, and then you go into charging while still providing value. Then you DMing sales calls, get your first 3 to 5 high ticket clients. And then once you've gotten your first high ticket clients, we talked about this a lot, 3 clients, 1 could be luck, 2 is a trend, but 3 is a process. If you can get 3 clients doing that, then now if you start being a little bit more risky and start posting more and changing the transformation, calling yourself a coach, at this point, you've at least proven that there is product market fit, that there is demand, that you are getting leads and you are converting them to clients. If your company then now has an issue, worst case scenario, you do get fired, you're building the business, you're not too far off. You've already built that foundation. So
just to give you some data points based off my own journey, phase 1 for me, I was making less than $5,000 per month, right? It was a pretty small income stream. A lot of the focus was on testimonials and building up client relationships and delivering the actual process. In phase 2, when we started to introduce systems and processes and started to hire people and actually build a full-on program, we were operating maybe in that 15 to 20, 25K space. And then in phase 3, when I was preparing to actually exit the corporate world, I was looking for somewhere between like 30 to 40K months. For me to leave my corporate job and feel like I have the security to do that and support my family and pay the mortgage, that's personally what I needed. Your numbers might not be that. They might be bigger, they might be smaller, but like Daniel said, it's all about biting off the right amount of risk before you kind of full send it.
Yep. Yeah. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up that you could say, hey, like maybe this hasn't covered, but it's really important into making this decision or this transition?
Yeah, I mean, maybe two things. Number one, just be careful with whenever you talk to someone that's in employment legal or HR or like a COI expert. Try to use statements that aren't super committal, like I am running a business and I am selling a product. Talk about it in a hypothetical, right? What if I did this? Again, they're there to help you, but they're also there to protect the company, and keep that in the back of your mind. And then lastly, and I'm sure, this has been said a bazillion times on this YouTube channel, but there's not a lot stopping you from building that personal brand. It really isn't. It's become so much more normalized in 2026 than where it was 6 years ago when I started. The personal brand can be turned into a professional brand, right? But that personal brand has value that translates across a wide range of industries and social platforms. So there's no better time to start doing that than right now. And if you've got a person that can help you do it, or if you've got systems in place to help you do it, I would fully recommend that wherever you are in your corporate journey.
And to wrap this up, what I would say is, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, this is very helpful, but I would just love to speak to someone within the Opni team to learn, my situation is a little bit different, Daniel and Adam. I would love to walk this information. I would love to talk through my current situation and see how you guys would handle it. What we do offer is a free strategy session where you can just book right below, schedule a link, speak to someone in our team, and where we can really understand your situation. Now, we won't know for sure, right? Just to understand, every company is a little bit different, but we can give you our experience and our thoughts on how we would design this and how we would mitigate the risk step of the way. And so you could do that as well. So we'll put the link below for you to do that. Now, Adam, thanks again for being here, for your conversation, for just sharing your journey. We're going to definitely leave your LinkedIn. If you're not already following Adam on LinkedIn, you can go hit the link below, follow him, and also I encourage you, go look at his profile now, and you can see it. Obviously, this is now fast forward into now he is full-time career coaching now for over a year, which is awesome to say. And thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
If you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to dive deeper into this conversation and want someone in our team to have a conversation with you to understand your background, your goals, or your aspirations, how would we manage this transition if we were in your shoes? Then again, there's a link below, schedule a free call, and we'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.